Mr. Bhardwaj, do you think that an action should be now taken against the Transport Department officials?
See, there are two aspects. First of all, in terms of the violation of the Motor Vehicle Act and taking a valid fit vehicle for scrappage is an offence. So let the appropriate authority within the government review the matter, get it investigated, and the responsible person should be responsibility should be fixed. That there should be no leniency on that part. But at the same time, the citizens should also be made aware that everybody is thinking that even at the end of life, they can continue to keep the vehicle. It is not like that. Under the Motor Vehicle Act, any vehicle can exist only if it is properly legally registered and it is legally fit. If a vehicle has end of life has achieved and there is no legal registration or it is unfit, then it has to be scrapped. It cannot exist in the society. Otherwise, it becomes a pollutant within the society. So every citizen should be made aware, given the chance, even after the end of life, if they think that vehicle is fit, they should, as per the law, should apply for re-registration and refitness of the vehicle. Without re-registration, without refitness of the vehicle, they cannot keep the vehicle anywhere. It applies to the even vintage car. They also get the registration and fitness beyond 30 years, 40 years also. But they are all legally validated vehicle under the Motor Vehicle Act. But there are many citizens who think that even after the end of life or without getting the vehicle fitness, refitness done, they can continue to hold on with their vehicle. I think perhaps, to my opinion, that may not be correct under law. Now, as far as what has happened in the garb of taking this unfit vehicle, the scrappage were being done for many fit vehicles. Say, for example, the biggest problem was with 10 years of diesel vehicle. The 10 years diesel vehicle was only a suggestion approved by the NGT and the Supreme Court. It never culminated into law under the MV Act. And even after those judgments of NGT and Supreme Court, the Ministry of Transport, central government, notified their scrappage policy, which also prescribed the end of life of 15 years only. They did not incorporate it 10 years. So it is where they are telling that the government or the state authority says that we were following NGT, we were following CAQI. So these logic or this reason does not hold good under the MB Act. And now this has been taken cognizance of in various petitions before the High Court. So government on their own taking a review petition and taking remedial action, after so much of hardship caused to the many innocent citizens, now they have come to a realization that if they delay, the things will get exposed before the Honorable High Court. That is where this action has been taken by the government. It is a self a cover-up kind of thing, and they are telling that they are stopping this. And maybe another political reason also. But as far as the law is concerned, it was there since beginning. It was never changed.
Right. Absolutely. The way also the cars were picked up from the residents' parking areas, and also when they went to look for such agencies, there was no issue. There was no notice that were issued to them, and also not releasing the car is a grave miscarriage of justice in violation of all the principles of the natural justice that people at this point in time deserve. Many had suffered, and they also even spoke to us during our campaign.
Priyanka, the thing is, earlier also I've said under the law, for every citizen, there has to be procedural reasonableness. All the citizen was aggrieved because there was no procedural reasonableness, no transparency. It was something like people coming with a danda as a gunda and picking up the things without any prior notice, without giving any opportunity to defend yourself. And that is where the majority of the citizen got aggrieved. Now, the thing is, whatever they have done, these things, if get properly investigated, the whole process was laced with suspicion. The people involved were of not having a credential or backing under the law. Some agency was approved by MCD. MCD is not an agency to approve under the Motor Vehicle Act. Some agency were coming under CAQI. The COI authority does not come under the Motor Vehicle Act. So everybody was deriving some kind of authority from somewhere, which was not known to the process of the law. So apparently, after getting aggrieved with so much of lawlessness, and now realizing that the citizen has a right of rule of law, and putting a break on this at this stage, after so many citizens has already suffered. So there has to be a two-pronged thing. I'm for a scrapping of vehicle which is unfit. I'm for a scrapping of the vehicle as per the scrappage policy. But having a policy, having the law, and then be going against the law by the same authority who is supposed to implement the law was something kind of a state-sponsored anarchism.
Right.
At least now a late realization has come, and this realization is under the threat of some legal scrutiny from the High Court. It is not on their own. Let us see how does the High Court view all these things.
Right. Right. What do you have to say about no announcement of compensation that has been announced, that has been, of course, put forth? Because there are many who have lost their vehicles and there is no way of return of what is already scrapped. What about them? Do you think there should be some compensation that they deserve?
As earlier also I've told, it is the cost-benefit analysis for the citizen. Why the citizen has suffered for so long? It was the cost of litigation versus the cost of the vehicle they are losing. And this is where the advantage has been taken by these scrappers for a personal and private profiteering at the loss of the citizen. So compensation means they have a right of compensation, but the amount of how do they get the compensation? Now this has to be taken as a public issue. The way after so much of public initiative, people have come on the road for doing the agitation, and that's the reason they have been successful as of now. In the same manner, all these persons, those who have got aggrieved, have to agitate before the government and get the compensation. They are entitled for compensation for the lawlessness and the personal loss it has caused to them. They could, if a proper opportunity was given, if the proper opportunity would have been given, they would have themselves has removed this vehicle after getting a better price through the market-driven economy. So certainly, many innocent citizens have suffered, and they have suffered a lot, and they are entitled for compensation. Let the government on their own give them the opportunity to claim their compensation, and they should frame a policy to compensate. And it would be better if that is recovered from all the hearing officials who have erred in performance of the public duty.
Right. People were also pretty shocked because how a private company illegally took possession of an irreplaceable and a cherished private belonging, and then they go ahead and destroy it. This is indeed an absolute contravention of the written law.
Here you have to understand there is a provision of registered scrappers. That and they were coming in the form of a registered scrapper under the national policy. So whether they were properly licensed or their license were not valid, that is a matter of verification. You cannot absolutely say in one go they were not authorized. They may be authorized, but some news came that some of their licenses were become invalid. Some scrappers' licenses were cancelled. But there is a policy of registered scrapper under the Motor Vehicle Act, and it is not that the vehicle cannot be scrapped. I completely cannot say that the vehicle scrapping a vehicle is wrong. A scrapping of vehicle is also a policy under the Motor Vehicle Act, and there is a defined process, and the eligibility of the vehicle has been defined under that policy. So you cannot say, and at the same time, a citizen cannot say, even though my registration has become invalidated, the end of life has been achieved, they have not obtained the re-registration, they have not obtained the refitness, and they can still claim that I want to keep the cherished this thing. It is not permissible under the law. If your vehicle is no more a motor vehicle under the Motor Vehicle Act, you cannot keep it anywhere, including in your house. I make a comparison with this. If I have an armed license, and if my license is armed, and it expires after 3 years or 5 years, and can I say that I will keep my license arm in my house? I will not take it out without a valid license. So that is a wrong perception. For that, even the citizen is to be sensitized, and they should be informed properly. The thing is that under the Motor Vehicle Act, there is a provision of re-registration, there is a provision of refitness. Even the scrappage policy provide for that. The vehicle whose registration has not been allowed, which has not obtained the refitness, can only go for scrappage. So by having an emotional, the law doesn't run on emotions. You have to follow the law as it is. So a scrappage policy is there. Unfortunately, that a scrappage policy which was put in the public domain and the performance of duty by the concerned public authorities were at contrary to each other. It was not as per the law which was in the public domain, and that's the reason the public got aggrieved, and that's the reason there was an agitation, and that's the reason now the government, many people went to the High Court, and then it caused a realization on the government. I don't know why so much of late realization by the Honorable Minister, who was approached so many times. People have, including myself, has written to him so many times on the Twitter, bringing out all these facts and figures and circumstances. So there is a late realization on the part of the government, and by that time, many innocent citizens have suffered. And once they have suffered, now the government on their own should see how this should be compensated.
Absolutely. Mr. Bhardwaj, appreciate you taking out your time and joining us here on Mirror Now, and of course, giving all your valuable thoughts to us over this particular information that we have been tracking. And of course, we had also built up a campaign of no car, old car, not bekar, and also how it is, condemnable that illegally taking possession of cherished private belonging destroys, and destroying it can become an absolute contravention of the written law. Thank you for being with us. On that note, we are taking a short break. We will come right back. Stay tuned.